Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, it's our immense pleasure, and we are highly thankful to Dr. Kaushal
Back to
Garg.
you, sir.
We're highly thankful to Dr. Kaushal Garg, who is specialized in hydrology and watershed management. He's presently working as senior scientist at ICRI SAT Development Center Research Program Asia, ICRI SAT Patancheru, Hyderabad. Sir took this impromptu session for us. We're highly thankful as our resource person for this session actually was Dr. Srinath Dikshit, who is in US right now, and due to some restrictions he couldn't travel. And we were expecting him to be in the country, but he wasn't available for this session. So, sir, we're highly thankful to take on this impromptu session. We are highly thankful. Sir, you are audible as well as visible. Now, can we shift to presentation and we can start, sir? We can shift to PPT, yes, and we can start the slideshow and press the hide. Yeah, hide and slideshow. Perfect, sir. We can start, sir.
Thank you, Majid ji, and thank you, and then inviting for this important refresher course 2021. As Majid ji has introduced about me, I belongs from the ICRISAT Development Center. It is a part of the department in the ICRISAT. So ICRISAT is International Crop Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics. It is based at Pathancheru, Hyderabad. The topic is given to me is the integrated watershed development through the innovative extension approaches. A slight modification I have made it into the title, that the integrated natural resource management through innovative extension approach field experience. So outline of this presentation is this, that we will be discussing today about the current challenges of watershed development or natural resource management. What are the different challenges we are facing, and what are the different innovations and innovative approaches we have followed so that efficiency can be improved and also impact can be generated. And I will be take you through a success story of from the UP Bundelkhand project, which we are currently working. So in that, how we are integrating the land, water, nutrient, and crop livestock interventions, and then how we are integrating research with the development, and then how we are looking towards the monitoring and impact is the focus for this presentation. So that the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. We can discuss it in more detail. So you might have heard this slides in different forms, that among your earlier presentations, that how India is getting the challenges of the 31st century, and then total population, like the 55% of the population, which is largely dependent on agriculture, but the GDP is, our country GDP's contribution is only 14%, and many other problems like water scarcity, poverty, and then we have the poor income, and then the biodiversity is lost is there, climate change are the different issues we are facing, India is facing. I will be coming first to the groundwater use statistics in India. So if you look at this is the down graph, which shows that the historical change in irrigated area, how the irrigated area is increasing, and then which are the different sources it is drawing the water. That depicts the second picture, last picture, down picture. So you can see the blue portion, blue bar, which shows that this is a surface water irrigated sources. So canal irrigated sources, how much is the area is under the canal irrigated sources, and then red bars are showing the area area irrigated by the groundwater sources. So you can see that currently we have the 21 million hectare area which is supported by the surface water sources, and then 42 million hectare area which is supported through the groundwater sources. So out of 141 or 142 million hectare of the total agricultural land, almost a 45% we can say is irrigated. So among that, 1/3 is about the surface water irrigated source, and then 2/3 is by the groundwater. So we are largely now dependent on the groundwater than the surface water. If you look at our historical pattern, and then how we have We have moved from 25 kilometer cube of the withdrawal from the 1 million borewells in 1960s to now in 300 kilometer cube of the groundwater withdrawal by the 21 million borewells. So, groundwater utilization pattern in India has tremendously increased, and then our withdrawal rate is also has tremendously increased, and that is the reason our groundwater depletion is taking place in country. If you look at overall river basin in India, so this is a picture which shows that how the different river basins in India are facing the water scarcity situation. So red columns in the picture, it is showing that the number of months in any river basin, like the Kaveri river basin, is getting water scarcity. So out of 12 months, we can say that the 8 months Kaveri is getting the water scarcity, whereas the holy Ganga river, which is almost 5 months, are getting the water scarcity. And then in bracket, it shows that these many million people are sufferers, a total number of the population in those respective basins. So you can see, except the Brahmaputra, almost all river basins from the 4 months to 8 months are one and another form is always water scarce, which is really a worrying situation for us. So in nutshell, we can say that our river basins are drying 3 to 6 months on an average. We can say the water scarcity is predominating, groundwater levels are declining significantly, and we have 141 million hectare of the total agricultural land area. Our total area in country as a geographical area is 328 million hectare. And then in that, we can say 26 million hectare is almost of degraded land, which is almost under the wasteland, but it can be converted into the cultivable condition. So if we put some effort, so that is the one scope is there. Another thing, our organic carbon is declining significantly. On an average, our India's organic carbon is almost 0.5%. And then in fact, if we wanted to have a sustainability, the organic carbon should be more than 1%. And if it is more than 2%, there is a very good productivity status. Agriculture productivity, especially in rainfed systems, are relatively very poor, which is almost 0.5 to 2 ton per hectare. And then if you look at in terms of watershed development context, then whatever technologies we are implementing, but we do not have the good database, and we do not have the backup with the good database. For example, we do not have the database about the runoff amount, and we do not have database about how much of these interventions are creating the impact. In fact, our designs are not very robust, and also the rainwater harvesting structures what we are making in these interventions having the short life. Like you can expect that 3 to 4 years or 5 years, these structures are becoming defunct. Whereas we are expecting that these structures should have it at least up to 20 years of the life, so that it can serve well. So these are the different limitations, but the solution is that we have to improve the efficiency of our resources, because the resources are always limited, and then we have to look at how we have to enhance the efficiency. That is the way to sustainability. So I will be now coming to what we have done it, what ICRISAT has done it in last 20 years time, and then specifically to Bundelkhand, I will be going after this slide. So ICRISAT has historically is working towards the watershed research, and then ICRISAT campus is located into the Pathancheru, which is almost of 3,400 hectares of the acres of the landscape. In that we have both alphisols and vertisols. So we are trying to monitor characteristics or like the hydrological behavior of both the type of the soils. So this is one of the example I wanted to quote it here. So for example, we wanted to understand the response of the vertisols and alphisols in terms of the surface runoff. So I just take the example of the normal year. So when we have from the long-term monitoring, when we have monitored the rainfall from these watersheds, this is a 730 millimeter, but the runoff response from the normal year is almost of 11%, whereas from the alphisol case, it is coming to 17%. So this has a significant meaning in sense when we have the vertisol watersheds, so that how much of the runoff coefficient we have to consider while designing the farm pond, or like while designing the check dams or any other structures. So until unless we consider those information into our designs, our designs may not be appropriate. And similarly, if we look at the wet years, but though vertisols and alphisols both are showing a different response in the normal year and dry years, but the wet years almost both are responding same. So that means like the storage capacity of both the soil is much lower than the amount of the rainfall received. So therefore, and then because of that, they are crossing the threshold. So the runoff coefficients in both the soils are almost 23% and here 22%. So the knowledge what we are generating from the different research projects, we are translating to the our fields, to the watershed, and also to the farmers field. And this is the example I am taking here in the Bundelkhand. In that, in 2018 to 2012, we are working in the 22 villages. In that, government of Uttar Pradesh has asked ICRISAT to work and develop a sites of learning to the 8 locations in 7 districts. And then they have allocated 5,000 hectare area in each district. And therefore, in consultation with the government, we have identified 22 villages. Those are almost of having the 100,000 population. So almost of 1 lakh population, and then almost of 24,000 of the households we have worked in the 4 years period. So if you look at the trend rainfall pattern, so we have collected the 23 rain gauge data of the Uttar Pradesh Bundelkhand, which is the comprising 7 districts, and then we have understood that how the rainfall is declining. That in 1950s, almost of the 1,000 millimeter of the rainfall we were getting. Now 750 millimeter or 700 millimeter of the rainfall we are getting currently. So there is a net declination of almost of 300 millimeter, which is really worrying. And that is the reason this region is significantly or frequently getting a drought type of situation. If you compare it, these 2 things, like the first 30 years and the next 30 years, you can see that the change in the rainfall pattern, and then you can see how especially the rainfall pattern has declined. So we have understood that compared to the first 30 years, now the rainfall has almost declined 200 to 400 millimeter in the last 6 decades. So this was the understanding we have got it. And also our baseline shows that this region, almost of 90% farmers are having the poverty level less than 1.25 US$ per day per person poverty threshold. And if you look at the distribution among marginal, small, and then big farmers, you can say that the agriculture contribution is coming almost of 25% to 70% for their income, annual income. So marginal farmers, because they are very small amount, they are able to get it from the agriculture. So largely they are dependent on the labor and also the remittance. They have to go out from the villages, and also especially during the summer and other time, and then they have to earn their living. Whereas the large farmers relatively of well-off farmers, but despite all this disparity, 90% farmers in the region are we have found that they are below poverty line. So anyway, these are all the different issues. Everyone is discussing that what are the solution. This is more important. So while working in Bundelkhand, village to village, when we have traveled, we have understood that the water is the biggest problem. Land degradation is the another biggest problem. If we address these 2 issues, many of the things can be resolved, and because all are interrelated to each other. So while visiting and then while interacting with the community, we have understood that this region had a very robust and then historical rainwater harvesting system, which is called a Haveli system. This is the example of the Mahoba. Mahoba is one of the district in the Bundelkhand. So what farmers were doing, they were making a very big earthen embankments in their field. They were harvesting the water within their field during the Kharif period, and then they were draining out the water before Rabi. Rabi is the post-monsoon season, and then with the residual soil moisture, they were taking their agriculture. So that was the pattern. So you can see within one village, where of this is a scale of 500 meter, you can see that every 500 meter or every 700 meter, we used to see one Haveli structure is defunct. So what has happened? Those big thick earthen embankments has broken or has breached because of the heavy flood events. So we have thought this is the opportunity, but again, if we construct these earthen embankments, again it will be breached if there is a wet years. So we have thought it, and then we have created a innovative approach in sense of creating a core wall concept. So masonry core wall we have created. So in this, for example, I am sharing with Lalitpur side. So the first picture, what you can see from the left side is the landscape on very upland landscape, and then it is almost a barren. It was a completely wasteland. So we have made a trench. This is a trench of so that we can make a make a core wall, and then we have made a masonry core wall. On top of that, a soil was put on that, so which was a original condition, and then a outlet was constructed. So you can see, because of that, this is the landscape is looking like this. So you can see that from the hillock, lot of runoff is generating because of when there is no soil on the hillock, whatever rainfall is taking place, it is generating a completely runoff. Like the 70 to 80% was a runoff of the received rainfall that time. So you can see this is a long core wall we have constructed. This is a long core wall. On top of that, to have the stability and of the core wall, we have further brought the soil back on top of that, and also a outlet was constructed. And then this is a structure was created, and this structure is serving almost of to the near about the 30 to 40 farmers, and in terms of the groundwater recharge. And now look at the landscape view. So the picture the previous picture what I was shared from this is called the Haveli 2 structure. And on upland, we have further created another Haveli, which is called a Haveli 1 structure. So these are the two structure, and in top other than that, we also have divided the fields into the smaller fields. Those are called as field bunds, which is in general the practice in many other places. And also a divergent drain, because water which is coming from the hillocks was taking or flooding their fields. So to avoid that, we have made a divergent drain, so that water is safely disposed of to the drain, and then it is connected to the further downstream location. So those type of interventions we have done it, and that has created a huge impact, because these lands belong to the tribal families of the 40 to 550 tribal families. Those families they migrated long back, because there was no scope for doing agriculture, and all the families has come back. Now you see the impact here. In February 2019, we have in fact started working in the summer period from the March to June. So you can see the landscape view was like this. And then in 1 year only, when the farmers realized that their well has recharged, and then surface water and groundwater both are available, so that the landscape converted into the very prosperous condition. And if you look at in terms of the economic term, then in April to June, in 3 to 4 months, these interventions were implemented. Earlier, before this work, there were only 4 hectares of the cultivation farmers were doing, especially in Rabi. But now it converted to 35 hectares in 2020. And in fact, in 2021, when we were mapping, it has reached to almost of 75 hectares, which is not shown here. Gross income from the first year was only 2.8 lakh, and in 1 year only it has reached to 36 lakh. So you can see that in very first year, when we invested 25 lakhs only for constructing these structures, has returned within the 1 year because of the created groundwater resources. So those type of interventions we have initiated. Such a 40 structures we have created in this project, and these are some of the pictures from the other villages, like in Jalon also, which is one of the very degraded landscape, in that the ravines are there, and then fields are completely degrading. So those are again same approach. The core wall was given, and on top of the core wall, this core wall was covered with the soil or like mud. And again, so to have the better stability, an outlet was created, and then it can create a huge amount of water storage over the landscape. And then farmers during the Rabi period can even cultivate. Unlike the southern India, where if you are making a tank, or if someone is doing a harvesting water in the tank, that land is lost, because of the water harvesting. But in this system, in the tanks, in this Haveli system, these Havelis are working as a reservoir during the Kharif period. So farmers from the Kharif in the Kharif period cannot cultivate, but they are very much able to cultivate their crop in the Rabi period. Similarly, these are the few pictures. Actually, I will skip this, and then again in Chitrakoot, like the structure was created, and then it has created a huge runoff. So it is also important that we generate the data, because the hydrological data mostly is available to the river basin scale, and then people are doing a lot of modeling, and then they are collecting the river basin scale data. And then based on that, if we wanted to design our interventions on the field scale, it doesn't work, because that landscape information is relatively representing a different ecology, whereas our work is on the very farmer scale, and then a village scale should have our own database. For that, our effort is towards the generating the surface runoff, or for capturing the surface runoff. So this is the gauging stations we are creating. So earlier days, the gauging stations were a very big instrumentation, and then lot of fuss was there. Actually, now the gauging station, you can create a tube. In that, it has to be hydraulically connected with the your system, and then we can put a diver. Diver is called a machine which can measure the pressure head at any designed time interval. So that type of monitoring we have initiated, and those type of runoff recording we are doing at a different scale. Now, another interventions I just wanted to share here is a deepening and widening of the stream network, because someone may say that if they do not have that much of the land area to submerge their field, so what is another alternative? So obviously the stream network, natural stream network, is also another great opportunity across the India. In fact, if we treat our landscape from the first order stream, second order stream, that can harvest a significant amount of water. So in this village, which is called as Sutta village in Jhansi, we have deepened and then widened almost of 7 kilometers of the stream network, and then a significant amount of the water has been harvested in those. So these are the few other pictures that then you can see in Banda. Rather, it was a Haveli structure. It was an excavative approach, like the excavation has done it, and then a huge amount of the water harvesting was made. Again, this is a Lalit Hamidpur. Here, this is again Haveli Korwal, and this outlet is there. Second Haveli is here, and then again, like this is a Jhansi, where we have a combination of the interventions. So this was the Haveli structure, and this is a large farm pond. In Chitrakoot, again, there is a Haveli structure. Korwal is there, but the outlet has to still make it. These are the different interventions. Again, anyway, you are aware about the divergent drain and also farm pond, which is a very common thing. Another thing is the mason's training. Actually, I wanted to share it with you about the capacity building. Not only is needed for the always for the students and for the officers, but also needed to the ground level also, like the ground level staff, those are working with us, because mason is very important part in this. Most of the time our structures are failing because there are two things. One is we do not have the understanding about our hydrology, so that how much of the runoff is generated or is about to generate, that understanding we do not have. Second thing is that the designs are poor, and then third is the execution is poor. So to overcome that, we wanted to have as much as the human resources developed. We have tried in this project. So what we have done it, we have trained almost 20 masons at a time. They were working with us in Jhansi, and they stayed for the 3 months in the project area, and then they have understood how to put the how deep it should be, the foundation should be there, and then in general in the check dams and other structures, generally we do not put the iron. So we have introduced the iron, how to tie the iron rods and many other things it is needed so that the stability of the structures are there and it has a long life. So those type of interventions we have initiated. Now I'm coming to field bunding. You have seen that the field bunding is one of the important interventions in general adopted across the India. But what happens when we do the field bunding? We divide the bigger field into the smaller fields. Within you construct the field bund, or you form the field bund, and within a season only it breach because of if the heavy events comes. So therefore we have introduced that until unless we have a structure outlet like the field drainage arrangement, sustainability is not there. So for that, a different type of outlets we have designed and also implemented almost in every field, whichever the field bunding we have done it, we are trying to establish the field drainage structures so that excess water should be disposed of safely. And then also while making the field bund, if the tractor has to pass from the field bund, so there is another type of field bunds or a different type of combinations we have tried so that tractor also can come and then across the field bund. So those type of interventions, you can see the lady sitting over this, standing over the this structure can also allow tractor to pass from this bund. So they don't have to worry how their instruments will come to the field. In addition, the agroforestry interventions is also important. Why it is important? Because our organic carbon is very much declining. Our forest cover is declining significantly. Until unless we address those issues, organic carbon also cannot be improved. And then along with that, farmers also should get the tangible benefit. So until unless farmers get the tangible benefit, they will not go for that. Those interventions will not be helpful for that. So for that, and then every farmers also cannot afford to go for the agroforestry model to their fields because the field sizes are very small. So we are promoting, if farmers those cannot adopt the agroforestry model, or like they cannot take the plantation to their field, at least they should promote it. They should go with the plantation to the field bunds. So with that intention, a large scale campaign we have done it, and also we have integrated with the water harvesting so that farmers are motivated, and also they are going forward with the different type of the tree of the agroforestry interventions in this project actually. And then almost more than 300,000 plantations we have done it with the more than 70% of the survival rate. But still, efficiency can be improved if we provide proper manure and more care. Similar type of interventions is this like the bear budding. Like the bear is one of the traditionally grown berries, and then now there is an improved quality of the bears are available. So we have also promoted these type of interventions. And you can see this is a picture in one of the village, again in Sutta village in Jhansi, where the 2-year plantation of the Millia dubia has picked it well, and the almost of the height of the tree is almost 15 feet now. So so integration is important. So along with the water, land, and also crop is also important. So in that context, a soil health mapping we have done it, and also after the soil health mapping, we have understood that which nutrients are poor, which nutrients are sufficient, and accordingly we have advised farmers to go with the recommendation. And then so that in these villages, like 200 samples we have collected each watershed, and then we have understood that for example, like these fields are deficient in sulfur type of nutrients. The zinc deficiencies are also there, and then many of the fields are also deficient in the boron, and obviously organic carbon is very poor. Like for example in Jalon, which is a 94% farmers fields are deficient in the organic carbon. Their organic carbon is below less than 0.5% in the Jalon. So this type of the knowledge generation and also advisories has given to the farmers. So for that, there are different means to provide the extension. in terms of the providing the soil health card, in terms of the wall writing, or in terms of doing the demonstrations. Laser land leveling is also another important land interventions. In this interventions, so we have recommended laser land leveling if the landscape slope is less than 1%, because lot of cut and filling is needed if more than 1% slope is there for any landscape. So if the more than 1% landscape is there, then we have gone towards the field bunding, and then laser land leveling only adopted when there is a relatively flatter field. So this has also improved significantly in terms of the water use efficiency. Number of the field demonstrations, so that we have taken the improved crop demonstrations, and then improved crop varieties along with the balanced fertilizer applications. These are the few pictures, and then now this is the results. So the result says that for example, like these are the 4 comparison of the different treatment we are doing. The farmers practice improved cultivars, balanced fertilizer, and improved and balanced cultivars. So we have seen that if we follow the improved cultivars and then balanced fertilizers, 30 to 40% of the increase in the crop yield is possible, especially for chickpea, field pea, and mustard crop. Farmers, in fact, are putting lot of efforts for the wheat cultivation. So that difference is not that much found in case of wheat, but in other crops like the chickpea and mustard, a significant difference we have observed in the demonstration. And these are the results based on the very large number of the field demonstrations in 8 seasons we have undertaken. In addition, livestock related interventions also we have initiated, because we cannot only end up with the water harvesting work. There has to be a complete linkages with the water, crop, and livestock. So with the involvement of our partners, we have also gone with the different interventions, awareness camp, and sorted salmon technologies which BIOF has introduced, and also the balanced feeding for the goat was introduced in this interventions, and also like biogas setup is also in each villages as a model we have established in every location. Now I come to the water balance component, because like monitoring is very important, and also we need to understand then how these landscapes are responding in terms of different water balance. So this is a schematic diagram of a water balance. So you know that in this area, the rainfall is the only source of the water. If we broadly classify the water balance, that there is a 4 important component. One is surface runoff, second one is the groundwater recharge, third one is the change in soil moisture and evapotranspiration. So we need to understand how much is divided in how much quantity. So rainfall which is receiving, for example, in this area is a 750 millimeter to 800 millimeter. We have understood that the 10 to 25% of the received rainfall is divided into the runoff. Almost 5 to 15% is divided into the deep percolation, or which is, you can say, is the shallow aquifer system in the groundwater recharge, and also remaining is the evapotranspiration or evapotranspiration change in soil moisture. And how it will be useful is very important to understand. So I will take the example here that comparing with the interventions with the no interventions condition in terms of the groundwater recharge. For example, in this area where our rainfall ranges from the 400 millimeter to 1200 millimeter, and then circles are showing the control condition, and the triangles are showing the treated condition. You can see that how the groundwater recharge with the interventions improves. So let us say in 600 millimeter, when we have a no interventions, our groundwater recharge was only 30 millimeter with the 600 millimeter. When we have put all this intervention in place, our groundwater recharge has increased to 30 to 60 millimeter. So you can see from that, especially in dry years, this has increased to double. 30 millimeter has become to 60 millimeter. Whereas the less impact we can see, or like the less changes we can expect into the wet year, because like in wet year, in fact, no control or like control condition also is getting a similar type of the groundwater recharge because of the excess water we have received in terms of the rainfall. So this type of understanding we have got it that these interventions, the small scale rainwater harvesting interventions, especially are creating a significant amount of the groundwater recharge and also more helpful into the dry years compared to the wet years. And this is another representation, for example, from the Chitrakoot. Before the interventions, our pressure head in the open wells were only 2 meter in month of January. And in month of January, you can see after the interventions, our pressure had got to 4.5 meter. So there was a net change of the 2.5 meter on an average in dug wells. So increased 2.5 meter of the pressure head or in terms of water table we have received in different wells in one of the district. So how the field bundings are making impact on the crop yield and also the net income. So we have understood when we divide the field, like when the 2% to 3% field slope is there, and then if we divide the field into the smaller pieces or like the smaller fields, then a lot of green water, I mean to say that a lot of soil moisture is built into the field, and that is helpful towards enhancing the crop yield. So we have found that only the field bunding can improve the 300 to 500 kg of the crop yield in different crops. Or in terms of the net income, it can in fact from the 7,000 to 20,000 changes range we can get it, and just because of the field bunding. If we have a mass scale field bunding, not 1 or 2 hectare field bunding, I'm saying that of the entire cluster level field bunding, if we get it, that type of the impact we have seen in our project area. This is the example of the sediment transport. This is from the another location which is called as Bundi in Rajasthan. So in way back in 2000, we have implemented the work in Bundi. So and then this is from the 10 years of analysis. You can see that the red line is showing the sediment transport from the treated watershed, whereas the blue line which is shown here, it is showing the sediment transport from the control watersheds, so non-intervention condition. So there is a significant change. You can see that the almost of soil loss has reduced almost of 70% or 80%. So those type of things is very much clear evidence that the field bunding and also different rainwater harvesting interventions not only increasing or improving the water availability, but also another services like the controlling the land degradations are also there. How laser levelings are important and how it is contributing. When we do the laser leveling, so whatever 1% slope and 1.5% slope is there, we are making it nil slope, so it is a complete flat field, and then whichever rainfall receives, it is uniformly distributed into the field. So, and also one is the uniform distribution. Another thing is that especially farmers in Bundelkhand are following the flood irrigation system. Whenever they are irrigating the field, they go for the flood irrigation system at present. So a lot of laborers are involved if their fields are undulated. So when they do the laser leveling, then a minimal labor involvement is there for the managing the irrigation. So that way they got the benefited. And then we have seen it reduced the irrigation frequency and also labor utilization. So that way the net income has improved from in fact 26,000 hectare in one of the wheat field to the 78,000 per hectare in treated field. So similarly, these are the another example I am showing here, that in one of the village in Parasai village of Jhansi, where when we have not done the interventions, almost 70% of area only was cultivated and 30% of the field was completely fallow. And because of the interventions, the fallow land converted into the agriculture. And then, and because of the field level interventions, one is landscape level interventions. We have got a lot of change in terms of groundwater recharge, and that improve the intensification. Whereas in terms of the field level interventions, like the providing the improved varieties and then other interventions, these also improve the crop yield. So two things has gone together, and that has increased not only crop intensification but also a significant amount of produce we have got it. So farmers' income has significantly doubled because of this. And you can see in that village, so in 2011, because this project was gone in 2011 to 2016, this is the pre-intervention stage in 2011 when there was no interventions done. So green portion is, you can see, is sowing into the Rabi period, and then red portion is the all fallow. And then despite 1150 millimeter of rainfall, and then you can see after the interventions, these are all the triangles. You can see these are all our interventions, and then this is the first one is our Haveli structure. Because of that, what has happened, that the significant amount of the groundwater recharge has taken place, and despite 820 millimeter of rainfall happened, you can see almost 95% area got cultivated by the farmers. And in 2015, even there was a deficit year, 600 millimeter rainfall, but compared to the very wet year, still you can see there is a good amount of the sowing has done into the Rabi period because of the water availability. So again, this is translated in terms of the net income. We have seen that where the farmers were getting only 50,000 of the income per year has gone to 143,000. So in fact, 92,000 is significant gain because of the interventions and because of the intensification, because of the increase in crop yield. And this is also a similar representation that across our 7 districts, we have seen that the 40 to 140% of the increase in the income we have got it compared to the baseline condition. Now I come to the conclusion that the integration of landscape technology with the farm level interventions is important. So until unless we integrate both things, so that the one hand we have the landscape interventions, so that we have the check dams, we have the our farm pond field bunding, and then farm level interventions means like we have the improved crop varieties, we have the balanced fertilizer applications, and then also integration of agroforestry and livestock. Then only we can see that the system level resilience can be built. Rainwater harvesting structure should be cost effective. There should be a proper hydraulic design with that. It should serve for a long period. It should not be defunct for the 3 to 5 years. And if these conditions met, then only the watershed program can be a successful program. It is also important that we put our efforts toward the state-of-the-art instrumentation, so that a data gap, what currently we have it, should be bridged over the period. And if we all do this, and then we can understand that not only we can address the issues of the livelihood, but also it will improve our ecosystem services and different environmental benefits. So with that only, I thank you all for hearing me very patiently, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, if there are any questions or interaction by the participants, please do. Any questions from the participants regarding the topic or any other interaction? Please do.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Nice presentation, sir. Myself is Ventesh L, scientist agroforestry, working in the ICR Krishi Vijnana Kendra, Sirsi, Uttara Kannada, Sirsi, sir.
Right, sir.
But any water conservation measures which can be influences on productivity of particular crop?
So that is what here we are sharing here, that the two things actually. When you go with the agroforestry also, if you do not address the water part, so if you do not address the water harvesting availability or like water availability into the field, farmers are always
participants.
Sorry. farmers are always reluctant to follow or like to adopt the technology. So when they are assured that the water is available, so then only they are encouraged to accept the technology. So in this case, in our case, whatever the Haveli structures we have constructed, that is serving at least up to 1 to 1.5 kilometer distance. Because of the farmers, those are harvesting water into their Havelis. Not only they are benefited, almost of the surrounding 70 to 80 or 100 farmers, they were all benefited, and then groundwater recharge has taken place. And in addition to that, the field bonding what we have undertaken also helped in terms of the soil moisture availability, sir. So this is the things we have done it, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any question?
Majid ji. Hello, Majid ji. Majid ji, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Prakash, we can hear you.
No, I was just telling Majid ji if there are any questions in the chat box. Chat box. Majid ji, are you there? Majid ji. Yeah, question, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Are there any questions from the participants, please?
No, I did not see Dr. Prakash.
Sorry, sir.
No, I did not see anything.
Okay, then fine, sir. In fact, it was actually a good opportunity for all the participants to go through integrated different activities in an integrated approach. In fact, I was also part of this Bundelkhand project when I was working in ICRISAT, and we have actually gone through different activities like agriculture, rainwater harvesting, the watershed management, and the waste components. And I'm sure the majority of the participants have been.
Hello, I think I got disconnected. Are there any questions from the participants?
Yeah, I was just briefing it up, Majid ji.
Let me check out the chat also.
There are no questions in the chat, I think.
If there are no questions, sir, you can directly move to the formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, that's what. And even because it was also a good experience for me working in this particular project area, Bundelkhand region actually. And then I really thank Dr. Kaushal sir for giving his valuable, sharing his valuable experiences. In fact, other research persons could not make it actually because he could not return back to India. And that is actually we have to. Anyways, in fact, he has also been involved in that particular project. And that is why he is the right research person for that topic. And that's why in the last moment, thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation to be a research person and also about the presentation. It was nicely presented. And I'm sure actually the participants would have been also benefited. We'll be happy if you can share.
Sir, your voice is not that clear. Can you come closer to the microphone?
Is it okay?
Yeah, now much better.
Yeah, anyways, I would be happy if you share some of your literatures which are relevant to this so that our participants also would be happy to refer them. Thank you once again, sir, for sharing your valuable experiences and also sharing your valuable time. Thank you all the participants for being with us. Thank you, Kaushal sir, once again. Thank you all the organizers.
Thank you. you, Dr. Prakash, Mr. Majid, for inviting me, and then I will share some of the documents or presentation also with you, so you can circulate to participants. Thank you.
Sure, sir. No problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Let's join back tomorrow at 11. Thank you.
Thank you.